Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ramble Shrapnel. I hope you guys are all having a great day and are happy to listen to a short 15 to 20 minute episode. We don't know how long because we are recording this as we speak. Again, we are joined by the most spectacular Eoton. Say hi, Eoton.
Hello, Eoton.
Thank you, Eoton. Yes, guys, as you can see, we are doing a short little episode of 15 to 20 minutes. That is the purpose of Ramble Shrapnel. Doing a little bits and pieces of the main episode of Ramble Shamble, which you can find in the descriptions of said episode. And again, guys, the topic of today's Ramble Shrapnel was of the main episode of sports. And again, I was a host of that episode. It was a very fun episode if you haven't listened to it already. But there's a lot of interesting things, and we have the gracious Raspberry Pi to give us the topic of today, where in the episode itself we talked about more physical sports, which we might touch on this topic in a future Ramble Shamble, because this topic could have different avenues and different interests and different possibilities. But the topic is eSports, the virtual sporting world, which is quickly growing and becoming more of a bigger thing in today's sporting world. Eoton, what's your experience on esports?
Well, I don't actually have a lot of experience with esports because I tend to be the type of person that prefers to do a thing instead of watching a thing being done. So I don't watch normal sports on TV. I don't watch like other people doing performances, and I just don't watch other people do hobbies and activities because I could be spending that time doing something myself, even if it's something totally useless to society, like me going for a walk or something. At least that way I'm doing something.
So useless.
Yeah.
Destroying the environment, destroying those blades of grass, hearing their tiny little screams.
Yeah, all those little
Why does he not walk?
microscopic things. Careful, you might sound a bit like a Taoist if you carry on talking along those lines. Like they believe that you have to be very careful when you're walking and you have to like brush away insects and little microscopic things because otherwise you're killing life.
Oh, you're 100% killing your life. But now you say you don't watch it, but would you participate in it? So say like there's a competitive sport. Because I know you play quite a few story-based games, but say there was like Counter-Strike. I know we played that when we were younger. Would you get yourself involved in that kind of sport? If you obviously money is involved, so placements. I think that like from my understanding, again, guys, I'm not the most experienced in esport knowledge. I do know a bit of it. I have played like 2 times in my life, but there are generally like prizes and money to be earned for like I think it's like 10th place upwards. But Eoton, would you participate in an esport?
Yes, but
Yeah.
for money. Of
100%.
But I think I would participate in esports in general, but I would have to be all in. Like you can't do that as a side hustle, because when you do some research into the crazy kinds of exercises that esports players do, it's actually ridiculous. Like they have this warm-up exercise where they press something like 20 different keys on the keyboard within a split second. And that's just to warm up, dude. So like the amount, like the processing speed that your brain must be going through is just so ridiculous because you've got so many stimuli that you need to try and pay attention to. I mean, you like when you're taxing your brain that much and you're going through all these kinds of difficult exercises, then you can only like keep up with that if you go all in. So granted I could do it as a career, then yes, I would do it.
Well, that's an interesting because, like myself, I enjoy some competitive sports and competitive games every now and again. I definitely think, personally, from my experience seeing you play different games, I think I dabble more into those kind of competitive sporting games than you do. Obviously, it's not something that you take too much interest in, because I will be the first to admit that competitive games are like fun initially because everything's new and everything's changing, but after a while you get to know the routine. And for me, like those, like Apex Legends was a really great game. I know initially it was such a fun game to play, but I put it down, I put it aside for a while. I tried to join back in, and it was just too much of a schlep to join because everyone knew everything about it, like perfect angle, the perfect position, the perfect gun, the perfect this, the perfect that. That just felt like this game wasn't fun anymore. It was more like an analysis of to be the top dog of everything. And in my own opinion, that makes the game less fun.
Yeah, I agree. Like I heard that this was a few years ago. I have no idea how it is now. You'll know more. But I heard that it was really difficult to join Fortnite a few years ago because being a noob inside of the meta was just way too difficult because everybody learned all those tips and tricks and how to wangle things. And so being a noob in that was prohibitively difficult for a while. But I think that Fortnite changed up the formula a little bit by making sure that there were higher level people inside a map, but also other lower level people, so that like they try to maintain a kind of ratio, because
uh,
otherwise if you're like one of the few noobs on the map, then you get killed super quickly, really, like all the time, and that's not fun for noobs, you know. It's
mm.
Yeah, so
No,
I definitely
100%.
get what you're saying about the Apex Legends there. But I find that a lot of the time, the games like that I tend to enjoy are games like Realm Royale, where
Oh yeah.
it's less hyper competitive and more about a social aspect to the gaming. Look, I never really played Apex that much. I think I played like 5 rounds of it or something on someone else's system, because at the time my laptop was terrible, horse crap. So I just happened to be in town once and my friend had a PS4, so I tried it a bit, but I never really got into it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, I will say, like, I did Overwatch, Fortnite, Tekken. Actually, my first esport competition was in my local town, and I was playing the character. I think it was Tekken 4, Tekken 5. Can't remember which one. And my character was King, and I had this perfect combo. But you could tell that there were people who played this game way more than I ever could. Like played to these different nights because I had to beat 5 people to get a prize, like to get the top tier prize. And I think I cleared the first 3 guys no problem. I was actually training to this kid, and this kid was like smack talking, saying, "Oh, I know this perfect move with this guy," and I paired up with him, whitewashed him, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And but then the next guy, you could tell this guy was like a pro, like the guy like just who's played that dancing game in arcades, like they just know every combo and every way of doing it. And he had this one boxer move where he would punch the character's leg in such a way that he would do a stun 4 animation. But then during that animation, you could do it again and again and again and again, so you were stun locked. And from my opinion, like esports are, that's why I mentioned before, it loses that sense of being fun. Like I see a lot of, well, I don't say I see a lot, I see a few from my limited knowledge of people where they leave the esport community basis on the fact that they initially joined because they really loved the game, really enjoyed building a community and that kind of thing, but then they leave because it's too much of a chore, too much of a job, that they lose that passion, that love. And it is an interesting thing. I do want to ask. So the which game that you've played that is, say, not local? Actually, no. Let's touch on speed runs. You mentioned speed runs before. Do you consider that a sport? Speedrun sport? Speedrunners?
Yes, I do, but purely because of the fact that you have there's a lot of exploration that happens beforehand, and it has a lot to do with your abilities, basically trial and error. then your ability to exploit
Glitches.
exploits in the system, and then also just the crazy dexterity that speedrunner hands need in order to like get something within a specific frame or like 3 frame
Mm,
period
mm.
of time. Otherwise, it won't work. I mean, it's stuff like Super Mario glitching through a wall and ending up in the last level of the game or something like that. And to know that kind of thing is absolutely ridiculous. And so you've got like this encyclopedia of all the little tips and tricks inside of a game and specific places where things need to happen and the timing for it in order to speedrun it. It's a lot to take in and perform. So I definitely
I've
think
seen so
so.
many speedruns. That reminds me, I love it when game developers know that there are speedrunners in the world, and when they game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's like you can play that game and you can play that game for like plus 100 hours if you want to, because there's so much content in it. But if you there is a way to that you could like get a shield, fall on an enemy, and would fling you by like fling you. I mean like toss you across the whole map with the help of the glider, and you can get to where the castle is protected by some aura. If you get close to it, you'll start dying. But because of this fling, you're flying at such speed and height that you're able to overcome this obstacle of there, and you can still finish the game. And then coming to the end, you fight not just the main boss that you would normally fight at the end, but because you skip all the other bosses, they would merge into the single boss and become this massive harder boss. It is such an interesting thing, and speedrunners still take it on. Crazy, seeing them with like their 3 hearts instead of like their 25.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. But esports in general, I think is it's going to become even bigger than it is now,
Hmm.
and it's already bigger than like NFL and NBA combined, at least in terms of concurrent live viewers of the events. It's bigger in terms of revenue than the music industry and Hollywood combined, and it's
Mm-mm.
only growing now. I mean, so many people found that they actually really enjoy gaming because of the whole COVID epidemic or pandemic, because everybody was locked inside of their homes and they still wanted to do things with their friends. And lo and behold, they tried some gaming and it actually turned out to be pretty damn fun. So I think a
I
lot
will
of
say,
stereotypes about gamers and how they live are starting to disappear, because everybody does think of us, like I said in a previous thing, of or as being slobs with Cheetos dust on their hands and their keyboards, who just like sit inside a dark room all day. But gaming is for everyone.
well, I agree on that, but those people that you just described, I think, are the speedrunners and the people who play competitive gaming. Because, dude, they are playing plus minus at least 12 hours a day continuously. I've seen some gamers they play much longer, where they do 24-hour live streams and like etc etc.
Yeah.
And that's why most of them are like Twitch streamers, because might as well capitalize on the Twitch viewership, because the longer you stream on Twitch, the higher your income can be. But that's what I'm also going to touch on is that I agree with you. Esports is growing, but I also think the lifestyle of the esports people as well as speedrunners is not someone that normal people or should aim for. Primarily because like me and you, we're gamers, and I'm confident that we are both also non-gamers because we like going outside. You like your walks, like you mentioned, you like killing those bugs that while walking on them, and I like to go to the gym. We both like keeping active, and we generally eat generally quite well. We are kind of like the sorry audience. It does there's different type of gamers and different kind of people, but you want to try and maintain a healthy lifestyle as well. As fun as gaming can be, in my opinion, I've seen some people go some really long dark routes while trying to accomplish the perfect speed run or play Skyrim, which consumes everyone's lives. But in my opinion, life balance is a necessity.
No, definitely. But that's why I'm saying it would only work if you make it a career.
Mm-mm.
Or at least for me, that's the
But
only
would
way to work.
but be honest, would you play 12 hours a day,
Never,
like of
never,
games
never,
of the same game as well,
never.
not just the different I can't imagine myself playing like Fortnite for 12 hours.
I
I would get so sick and tired of it.
I never do anything more than for like 3 hours in a day before I need to change tasks. Like I just can't focus on one activity for that long. So I need to
Mm,
do things in like 1.5 hour chunks and 3 hours if I really
agreed.
need to push it. But yeah, I can come back to it later in the day, but I can't do it constantly. I think you'd actually
Uh,
burn yourself out pretty quickly because 12 hours is long for any activity, let alone one as stimulating as esports.
but that's why you see them drinking all those energy drinks. They like drink G Fuel and all that kind of stuff. And it is really dangerous. And that's why I agree with you. Like 12 hours, you burn yourself out. And the fact that you like have to play this game and learn all the strategies, like Fortnite is like, oh, you have to do this and that. I feel like oh my gosh, my life is just gone because I'm now playing this one and only game.
Yeah,
I'm awesome at this, but then I would hate gaming at the end of the day. I would say, I need something different.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we've covered, unless you have another point you want to quickly touch on.
No,
Anything from your side,
that
Jotun?
covers it. Like my knowledge of esports is really not that great.
he's he's tapped, folks. He's tapped. So I think this is where we're gonna conclude this fabulous episode of Ramble Shrapnel. Again, guys, this is only the little bits and pieces of the main episode. This was a bit more of a video game talk, funny enough, but it was still related to the topic of the main episode of Ramble Shamble, which was sports. Again, I'm saying it like a weird person, but that's the point of this podcast. So we are the little bits and pieces of the main episode. Again, guys, we're glad that you came to listen to this short little 15 to 20 minute episode. Again, we try to post this as regularly as we can, but Ramble Shamble, we post on a regular Thursday. But I think that's enough talk, chit chat, and go play some sports, go get some exercise, and bye from Macky then.
Bye bye, everyone.